Hi, my name is MNadeau2, and this is my ISA 4220 presentation. I will be covering Windows Server 2012 R2, CentOS, Firewalls, and SELinux. Let's begin. So, Windows Server 2012 R2. What is it? It is the answer to Microsoft's cloud-based solution for services and infrastructures. It is designed to efficiently manage a business's virtualized IT environment even when the needs of the businesses change. It is designed to be the best and most adaptable solution to a cloud-based solution. So what are its capabilities? First, there is a server virtualization. Microsoft offers this with Hyper-V. Hyper-V is able to provide a platform to run and operate large workloads. Hyper-V will give you the confidence in expanding your virtual capability. The scale at which you can increase your capabilities is impressive. The host server is able to support up to 320 logical processors, 4 terabytes of physical memory, and 2048 virtual processors per host. The Hyper-V portion is able to support 64 node clusters, 1 terabyte of physical memory per VM, and 1,024 active virtual machines. Virtual machine mobility allows the mitigation of files through a network at high speeds by compressing the files. By compressing the files, the transfer speed increases by twofold. For faster boot times, Windows Server 2012 R2 has introduced the Generation 2 virtual machines to Hyper-V. To increase boot times, they have provided things such as unified extensible firmware interface support, pre-boot execution environment boot, secure boot, boot from a small computer system interface virtual hard disk, and the removal of IDE controllers. The objective of Windows Server 2012 R2 is that your virtualized server should be able to support large configurations and provide high performance virtual machines. The mobility of information is very important. Windows Server 2012 has provided an answer for this. It is called SMB 3.0 protocol. This allows you to copy and paste files throughout your virtual network 20 to 30 times faster than the non-R2 solution. It also manages your storage by providing deduplication. This is the prevention of storage of the same file between two users on the same server. And it allows you to manage your server with features similar to RAID. For storage, Windows Server 2012 R2 provides a number of features. First of all, it provides storage bases, which provide intellectual virtualization capabilities. You are able to partition the storage places into partitions and combine 2 or more storage bases together. For networking, Windows Server 2012 R2 makes it really easy to manage entire networks on one server. It allows seamless connection across public, private, and hybrid cloud services. It saves a lot of time and money because of the efficiency. Windows Server 2012 R2 offers server management with standards based management, simple multi-server management, and rich automation. Web application platform is flexible to build on premise and also in the cloud. It is a lot more scalable and elastic, and it is also open web platform. Access and information protection is consistent of policy-based access and audit of corporate information by offering a dynamic access control. It pulls its information off of AD and enforces the policies from there. Next is CentOS. CentOS is a product that was created from the enterprise Linux distribution named Red Hat Linux. Red Hat Linux is not free to users. The developers of CentOS saw this and created CentOS through Red Hat Linux and made it free to the public. The CentOS functions are not as user-friendly as other operating systems, but the main focus while developing CentOS was the reliability and its ability to be updated and supported for 7 years after each release. The creators of CentOS stripped off all the upstream vendor branding and Red Hat artwork to distance themselves from Red Hat. CentOS is a super reliable operating system and is open source. They created a new version of CentOS to keep up with security and changes in the operating system world every 2 years, and have been very consistent with that schedule. The security updates offer you no risk when the release is available, and every 6 months they provide new hardware, bug fixes, and feature updates. There is a large list of things that make CentOS different from Red Hat. CentOS has all of its components such as GFS, cluster suite, and desktop and server included in one package. Also, there are 6 million more systems with CentOS than there is with Red Hat. And the community for CentOS is huge and provides helpful information and ideas throughout the community. With CentOS, you can get extra functionality and flexibility with extended kernel plus and hardware support. But CentOS has its drawbacks compared to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. CentOS has no support from Red Hat or their environment. A big thing, CentOS has no security backport for old releases. Also, the updates are not provided on a regular basis as Red Hat. This is due to the operating system being free. They don't have the money to pay the developers as Red Hat does. Another huge problem is that bugs are not fixed in CentOS directly. Next, I will talk about the features of CentOS that is different from Red Hat. First are its server applications. CentOS supports Apache 2.2, PHP 5, and MySQL 5. The virtualization capabilities for CentOS include libvirt, Xen, and KVM. And the security feature for CentOS is called SELinux. Next is firewalls. We must first ask, how are firewalls used? Firewalls are used to keep unauthorized users from accessing trusted networks that are connected to the internet. All the network traffic passes through a firewall. The firewall will analyze a message and block unwanted traffic. Firewalls are not just hardware, they can be software also. Usually a business will deploy both hardware and software in an environment. The different types of firewalls they can deploy are packet filtering firewalls, application gateways, stateful inspection firewalls, and dedicated proxy firewalls. First, I'm going to talk about packet filtering. Packet filtering looks at all the traffic flowing in the network and compares it to user-defined rule sets. Even though the packet filtering can be very effective, it can be very difficult to configure due to the all amounts of rules you would have to set up to cover all effective ranges of IPs. The downfall to packet filtering is that it can be susceptible to IP spoofing. Next is the application gateway. An application gateway is a program that runs on a firewall system between two networks. Whenever an outside program tries and enters the network and tries to make a connection, it will connect to either a proxy, application, or gateway. The proxy will ping the program that the outside user was trying to access in order to establish a connection. Then the proxy will connect to the application inside the firewall on behalf of the user asking for the connection. It will then establish two connections between the proxy in the application and the proxy on the outside user. As soon as the connection is made, the proxy then controls all the packet decisions. What is good about this is that your network is protected because the proxy is trusted and is making all the communications inside of your network. This will protect your network from outside users from entering your network. Next is the stateful inspection. Stateful inspection is a firewall technology that looks at active connections and will analyze the material to see what packets should come through the network. Stateful inspection is making old stateless inspection obsolete. Stateful firewalls watch for the traffic over a length of time to see ingress and egress packets. All ingress packets that have a proper packet, meaning their packet meet all the requirements, are granted access through a firewall. the best thing is that the firewall parameters are configurable so that you can set up what rules have to be met to gain access to your network. With stateful inspection, you can set your own rules and policies for your network, such as blocking a port that is a known vulnerability. Next is the dedicated proxy server. A dedicated proxy server will log and filter ingress traffic and proceed to send it into the trusted network. It can do the same with egress traffic. The dedicated proxy server is another depth to the defense with a firewall. The advantages is that you can decrease the workload of the firewall. You can also see and examine all the traffic going through the network with logs. This is very important so that you can go back later if there was an issue and see who and why it happened. You can also set up user authentication actions from the users to get into the network. And by looking at the logs, you can find and prevent possible attacks from happening by looking into the logs and finding what the source IP of the attack was. When setting up policies for these firewalls, it is best practice to only let certain IP protocols in, such as TCP, UDP, and ICMP. And in some cases, you can let encapsulated security payloads and authentication headers. Firewalls should also only pass through trusted destination and source IPs. A tactic called deny by default will set all users that aren't recognized by the firewall to default privileges, and they will be denied access by default if the address is not recognized by the firewall. Basically, if there is no policy in place for a certain IP, then the firewall will apply the default policy to him or her, and they would be denied access to the network. The last major subject of this presentation is SELinux. SELinux was developed by NSA over many years of operating system security research. SELinux is a policy mandatory access control that is built into the Linux kernel. Each user has its own permissions based on policies, other processes, and sockets. The Mac kernel is to protect your system from being attacked. The admin can set a list of permissions for a certain user, application, or file in the system. With the use of a security policy, you can control what is allowed in your system and what is not allowed in your system. SELinux runs in the background for users. Even though the policies are being enforced and certain applications are being blocked, it does not affect the user. The system owner can set how strict the policies that are being enforced are. SELinux breaks apart a communication that is trying to either enter or exit the network, and it will compare the contents to the database. If what is stated in the database is different, it will block the message or connection. SELinux is a strong tool for protecting unwanted traffic. When an application is trying to access a file, the policy server's kernels check an access vector cache. This is where all the permission rules are cached. If there is no rule in the access vector cache, it will move on to the security server and looks through the security content of the file. This then decides if the connection is granted or denied. If the message is denied, it will be recorded in the logs. A good practice is to find the IP addresses of your trusted IPs and then by default deny any unrecognized connection. And with the outflow, it is good practice to create IP ranges of blacklisted websites.